In the heart of the bustling city, tucked away behind a veil of normalcy, stood Marshall High School. By day, it appeared like any other institution of learning, with its pristine halls and bustling classrooms. However, as the sun dipped below the horizon, a sinister energy seemed to awaken within its walls. Emma had always heard the rumors circulating about Marshall High, but she never truly believed them until she transferred there. The moment she stepped foot inside, a chill crept down her spine, as if the very air whispered secrets she was not meant to know. Her first encounter with the school's darkness came during her second week. As she sat in the back of Ms. Holloway's history class, a shiver ran down her spine. The teacher's eyes seemed to gleam with an otherworldly intensity, and her smile held a hint of malice. Emma quickly averted her gaze, but she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. It wasn't long before strange events began to unfold. Students whispered of shadowy figures lurking in the corners of classrooms, of eerie laughter echoing through the empty halls long after the last bell had rung. Emma tried to dismiss their stories as mere superstition, but deep down, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. One afternoon, as Emma made her way to the library, she heard a blood-curdling scream pierce the air. Heart racing, she followed the sound to its source, a deserted hallway bathed in flickering fluorescent light. There, she found Mr. Blackwood, the stern math teacher, his face contorted in terror as he pointed a trembling finger at the wall. Emma's eyes widened in horror as she saw it, a grotesque shadow, writhing and twisting as if alive, cast against the cold concrete. Before her eyes, it seemed to coalesce into a formless mass, pulsating with a sickening energy. With a strangled cry, Mr. Blackwood collapsed to the ground, his body racked with convulsions. From that day forward, Emma's once mundane existence was plunged into a nightmare. Each classroom she entered felt like a battleground, where unseen forces waged war for control of her mind. Faces blurred into grotesque masks of terror, and whispers slithered through the air like serpents, promising unspeakable horrors. Desperate for answers, Emma sought solace in the school's forgotten corners, where the veil between worlds grew thin. In the dusty archives of the library, she uncovered ancient tomes filled with arcane symbols and forbidden knowledge. With each page she turned, she felt the darkness closing in around her, threatening to consume her very soul. As the nights grew longer and the shadows deeper, Emma found herself drawn to the heart of the school's darkness, the abandoned basement, where the air was thick with the stench of decay. There, she discovered the source of Marshall High's curse, a gateway to a realm beyond human comprehension, where nightmares took form and reality twisted upon itself. With a sense of grim determination, Emma vowed to confront the evil that lurked within the school's walls. Armed with nothing but her wits and a flickering flashlight, she descended into the depths of the abyss, where the lines between reality and madness blurred into nothingness. In the depths of the basement, Emma faced horrors beyond imagining, twisted monstrosities that defied logic and reason, and malevolent spirits that hungered for her very essence. But with each step she took, she felt a flicker of hope ignite within her, a determination to banish the darkness once and for all. At long last, Emma reached the heart of the abyss, a cavernous chamber shrouded in darkness, where a pulsating mass of writhing shadows loomed. With a defiant cry, she raised her flashlight high and unleashed its searing beam upon the darkness, banishing it back into the depths from whence it came. As the shadows retreated, the school's curse was lifted, and light flooded once more into its hallowed halls. With a sense of weary triumph, Emma emerged from the depths, her spirit scarred but unbroken. Though the memory of Marshall High's darkness would haunt her dreams for years to come, she knew that she had faced the ultimate horror and emerged victorious. But as she walked away from the school for the final time, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that somewhere, in the depths of the abyss, the shadows were waiting, biding their time until they could rise again and claim their next victim. And she knew that no matter how far she ran, they would always be there, lurking in the darkness, waiting to strike.
Months had passed since Emma's harrowing ordeal at Marshall High School. She had tried to put the memories behind her, burying herself in her studies and immersing herself in the distractions of everyday life. Yet, no matter how hard she tried, the shadows of that fateful night continued to haunt her dreams, lurking in the darkest corners of her mind. As the days grew shorter and the nights colder, a sense of unease settled over the city like a shroud. Strange occurrences began to plague the residents, disembodied whispers in the dead of night, fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures lurking just beyond the edge of vision. And in the heart of it all stood Marshall High, its once pristine halls now a breeding ground for malevolent forces beyond human comprehension. Emma tried to ignore the signs, to convince herself that it was nothing more than her imagination running wild. But deep down, she knew the truth. The darkness she had banished had not been vanquished, merely driven back into the depths from whence it came. And now, it was stirring once more, hungering for release. One evening, as Emma sat alone in her room, a chill wind swept through the open window, carrying with it the faint echo of a familiar whisper. Goosebumps prickled her skin as she turned to see a shadowy figure looming in the darkness, a twisted reflection of herself, its eyes gleaming with an otherworldly light. With a strangled cry, Emma leaped to her feet, scrambling for the light switch. But before she could reach it, the figure vanished into thin air, leaving behind nothing but a lingering sense of dread. Trembling, Emma collapsed onto her bed, her heart pounding in her chest. The following day, Emma returned to Marshall High, determined to confront the darkness once and for all. As she stepped through the threshold, a wave of nausea washed over her, as if the very air itself recoiled at her presence. Ignoring the feeling of unease gnawing at her insides, she made her way to the library, where she hoped to find answers hidden within the dusty tomes and crumbling manuscripts. But as she searched through the archives, she found no trace of the knowledge she sought, only cryptic warnings and half-forgotten legends of a darkness that had plagued the city for centuries. Frustration mounting, Emma slammed shut the nearest book, sending a cloud of dust billowing into the air. It was then that she noticed it, a glimmer of light shining from beneath a pile of old newspapers stacked in the corner of the room. Curiosity piqued, Emma approached the stack and began to sift through the papers, her heart pounding in anticipation. And there, nestled among the yellowed pages, she found it, a faded photograph of a group of students, their faces frozen in time. Among them stood a familiar figure, a young man with dark hair and piercing eyes, his expression haunted by the weight of unseen burdens. With a sinking feeling in the pit of her stomach, Emma studied the photograph, searching for any clue that might lead her closer to the truth. And then, she saw it, a faint inscription scrawled in the corner of the image, barely visible beneath the layers of dust and age. "Forgive us," it read, "for we knew not what we unleashed." As realization dawned, Emma felt a chill run down her spine. The young man in the photograph was none other than William Marshall, the founder of Marshall High School, the very man whose name adorned the institution she now stood within. Determined to uncover the school's dark secrets, Emma delved deeper into the archives, scouring every inch of the library for clues. And with each passing hour, she felt the darkness closing in around her, as if the very walls themselves were alive with malevolent intent. It wasn't long before Emma stumbled upon a series of old journal entries hidden within the depths of the archives. Written by William Marshall himself, they spoke of forbidden rituals and unspeakable horrors lurking just beyond the edge of reality. And at the heart of it all stood the school, a gateway to a realm of darkness and despair, where the boundaries between worlds grew thin. With a sense of grim determination, Emma pieced together the fragments of the past, uncovering a truth more horrifying than she could have ever imagined. Centuries ago, William Marshall had made a pact with forces beyond human comprehension, sacrificing the souls of countless innocents in exchange for power and immortality. But as the darkness grew stronger, consuming all that stood in its path, Marshall realized the true extent of his folly. In a desperate bid to contain the evil he had unleashed, he sealed himself within the depths of the abyss, hoping to imprison the darkness for all eternity. Yet, even in death, William Marshall's legacy lived on, as his name became synonymous with terror and despair. And now, centuries later, Emma found herself standing on the brink of a new chapter in the school's dark history, a chapter she alone had the power to rewrite. Armed with the knowledge she had uncovered, Emma embarked on a journey into the heart of the abyss, where the fate of the city hung in the balance. With each step she took, she felt the weight of the past pressing down upon her, threatening to consume her very soul. But as she reached the depths of the abyss, Emma knew that she could not falter, not when so much was at stake. With a defiant cry, she raised her voice in a chant as old as time itself, calling upon the forces of light to banish the darkness once and for all. And in that moment, a blinding flash of light erupted from the depths of the abyss. illuminating the darkness with a brilliance that pierced the very fabric of reality. With a deafening roar, the shadows were cast back into the void, their power broken and their hold on the world shattered. As the light faded and the darkness retreated, Emma emerged from the depths, her spirit scarred but unbroken. And though the memory of Marshall High's darkness would haunt her dreams for years to come, she knew that she had faced the ultimate horror and emerged victorious. For in the end, it was not the darkness that defined her, but the light that burned within her soul, a beacon of hope in a world consumed by shadow. And as she walked away from the school for the final time, Emma knew that no matter what trials lay ahead, she would face them head-on, armed with nothing but her courage and her unwavering resolve.